Hey y'all, and welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I'm Lena Bond, and I'm going to be taking you through the 9 hottest news and rumors circling around Tuscaloosa. Number 1, Butch Jones, is he headed to Alabama? Well, we're giving this one 3 Bear Bryant hats. It's pretty likely. So former Tennessee head coach Butch Jones reportedly will be joining Alabama's staff soon. On Sunday night, the Spun's Matt Laddick reported that Jones is expected to be hired in Tuscaloosa as an offensive analyst. Laddick added that an announcement is expected sometime this week. Last week, reports surfaced that Jones was in discussions with Alabama about a possible role on Nick Saban's staff. That role that Jones, who is 50 years old, would hold with Alabama would be an off-field position, Laddick reports. All right, guys, I'm Lena Bond, and before we get to our next rumor, let's go ahead and toss it to our rumor scale here. You might be wondering, what are all these Bear Bryant hats? Well, let me tell you. 0 Bear Bryant hats means fake news, no accuracy behind the report. 1 Bear Bryant hat means Paul shouting out Phyllis from Mulga. 2 Bear Bryant hats means people are talking. We can't confirm, but where there is smoke, there is fire. 3 Bryant hats means more probable than not, but our sources in Tuscaloosa are yet to confirm. And 4 Bear Bryant hats means roll tide. It's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. All right, news and rumor number 2. The son of Auburn's defensive coordinator, is he now taking position with the Crimson Tide? This is another fact, ladies and gentlemen. We're giving it 4 Bear Bryant hats, roll tide. Steele has been added as an offensive analyst, according to a report from AL.com, and he will be working with the Tide's offensive line. Steele is the son of former Alabama defensive coordinator and linebacks coach Kevin Steele, who is currently serving in his 3rd season as a defensive coordinator at Auburn. The younger Steele spent the last season as a graduate assistant at South Alabama. Prior to that, he was at Murray State, where he was offensive line coach and run game coordinator. All right, up next, that ECU grad transfer I was talking about earlier in one of my Alabama football reports, is he heading to Alabama? Well, it's official, ladies and gentlemen. We're giving this a roll tide 4 Bear Bryant hats. So that quarterback is Gardner Minshew, and I am happy to report that Saban finally got his guy. The Mississippi native made the 167-mile drive to Tuscaloosa last Friday for a visit and came away impressed and with an offer. It's too late for him to enroll this spring, so the plan is to enroll in the summer. He will not be able to practice with the team this spring, but he can visit the facilities and for the meetings and also participate on the sidelines. The rising senior will have 2 years to play one season, meaning there will be a potential for him to be around in 2019 as well. Minshew withdrew from East Carolina at the end of January to deal with a family matter in his home state of Mississippi. He earned a communication degree after the fall semester and was designated the number 1 quarterback entering upcoming spring practices. However, the 850 miles from Greenville, North Carolina to Brandon, Mississippi proved too much for the kid. Minshew spent his freshman year at Northwest Mississippi Community College in 2015 before transferring to ECU. At the JUCO, he completed 223 of his 367 attempts for 3,300 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. His team went 11-1 that season and won the 2015 NJCAA National Championship. All right, let's get to news and rumor number 4. Are both quarterbacks, Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts, playing next season? Well, I'm giving this one 2 Bear Bryant hats, okay? People are talking. So with this one, Nick Saban said he's not ready to name a starting quarterback. In fact, the 12th-year coach isn't opposed to playing both his Crimson Tide signal callers. In an interview with ESPN's Chris Lau, Alabama head coach said both Jalen Hurts and Tagovailoa welcome competition as they prepare to start spring practice later this month. The most important thing is to play the best guy, and if both guys can play winning football, it's not out of the question that we'll find a role for both guys, in fairness to both guys, Saban said. I don't know there's really any more to it than that. Also in his interview, Saban said he's met with both quarterbacks and assured both of them that there haven't been any predetermined decisions behind center made going into the spring. I've told both players that they're going to be having an opportunity to compete, and that's by all that any competitor could ever want. We've won with both guys, and all the kids on our team respect both guys. All right, let's get to news and rumor number 5. Did a 5-star recruit shut down his commitment? He's 100% roll tide. Well, yes, he did. So I'm giving this one 4 Bear Bryant hats, roll Tide. So not that really that many Alabama fans were questioning his status with the Tide, but 5-star offensive tackle Pierce Quick announced on Twitter on Sunday that his recruitment is shut down. The Alabama prospect committed to the Tide last April, but still planned to take visits here and there to enjoy the recruiting process. With this change of heart on Sunday, that is no longer the case. I want to be the leader of this class and build the greatest class ever, Quick told Bama Online. The nation's number 4 offensive tackle visited Tuscaloosa last weekend for Junior Day and returned this past Saturday. When asked about his decision, Quick stated, "This class is my main focus right now. We have a ton of in-state guys there. The talent in-state for this year's class and next year's class is unreal. I think that will help out Alabama's class next year." One of Quick's top priorities is trying to get his close friend and fellow 5-star offensive lineman, Clay Webb, to come to Alabama, plus his 4-star high school quarterback, Paul Tyson. Quick is the Tide's top-rated commitment as it stands, helping make up the number 9 class in the country. All right, guys, with Quick joining the 2019 Alabama Crimson Tide, can this 2019 offensive line be the best offensive line the Crimson Tide has ever seen? I'll tell you after a word from our sponsor.
Did you know that ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
All right, folks, we're giving this one 2 Bear Bryant hats, okay? So people are talking. Looking at this 2019 class, it will be definitely a bigger group than 2018. The Tide only signed 2 offensive linemen in the last cycle, and 4-star tackle Tommy Brown and 4-star center Emil Okior. Alabama is also expected to sign 4 to 5 offensive linemen for the class of 2019. Heading the group is 5-star tackle Pierce Quick. Quick is the leader of the 2019 class, and as I mentioned earlier, he is very tight with 5-star center Clay Webb. I think that will help the Tide a lot when it comes time for Webb to make his decision. Another priority is for the Tide is 4-star tackle Amari Kite. I expect Quick, Webb, and Kite to all sign with the Tide. So who will be that 4th or 5th offensive lineman is really a toss-up. 5-star tackles Darnell Wright and Kenyon Green are very high on the Tide. I could possibly see one of them signing, but also 4-star tackles Xavier Truss and Tyler Johnson visited Tuscaloosa this past weekend, and both of them are early priorities. So this is going to be a very elite offensive line class and definitely could rival any class that Alabama has seen before, especially 2017, which featured Leatherwood and Wills once February rolls around. All right, news and rumor number 7. So one of the top linebacker commits that Alabama's looking at, is he relatively new to football? Well, it's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving this one a Roll Tide 4 Bear Bryant hats. It's kind of a cool story. So Ezekiel Chu, one of the most Alabama's top linebacker targets in the class of 2019, visited Tuscaloosa several times since moving from Nigeria to America in 2015. He's currently in the state of Tennessee. He originally moved from the United States to play basketball, but coaches told him he would have a better future on the football field, and it turns out they were right because a lot of major schools have offered him a scholarship. He said there are a lot of schools that are in the mix for him: Ohio State, Alabama, Memphis, and Mississippi State, just to name a few. Ohio State and Alabama have been recruiting him hard for a long time, but especially Alabama. He has a pretty tight relationship with Coach Tosh. The 6'4", 230-pound prospect was in Tuscaloosa earlier this month and got a chance to speak with Nick Saban, a man he had no clue existed until he got to America. And he didn't even know much about the sport of football until 3 years ago, when he would watch football games on YouTube to learn how to play. Now, he couldn't play varsity football when he moved to America, according to Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association bylaws, which states that players who have a visa are ineligible to play varsity until they've lived the Guardian for 12 months. So he played on the junior varsity team, he learned the game, and then eventually moved on to be on the varsity team. He's the nation's number 14 weak side defensive end and doesn't have a timetable for when he's going to make his decision, but he did say that Alabama will definitely be a finalist when he ends up making his decision. All right, let's get the news and rumor number 8. So does an Alabama player think that athletes should be paid? Well, this is a fact. I'm giving this one 4 Bear Bryant hats. Roll Tide. So Alabama linebacker Christian Miller gave a very thoughtful explanation for why college players should be allowed to make money. The topic of possible payment for student athletes has been a hot talking point lately after the FBI's investigation into college basketball created a national discussion about the issue. ESPN's Booger McFarland and former Alabama linebacker Ryan Anderson were among the voices who were critical of the NCAA on Wednesday. On Thursday, Miller used Twitter to write that simply allowing players to make money by using their own name would be considered not only fair, but solve much of the debate. He added that he's grateful for his free education, but mentioned more can be done. So that brings me to a reaction poll. Do you think college athletes should be paid? Give me a heart for yes and a like for no. So Miller did really offer some very solid points. It is somewhat strange that so many people and businesses make lots of money from the hard work produced by college football and college basketball players. Would it be such a bad thing if players can make money off their names while they're in school? So keep on throwing up those reactions. I want to know your thoughts. And if you have any other thoughts besides what I put up there, go ahead and toss them out in comments. All right, guys, last news and rumor I have for you guys. Are 6 of Alabama's players heading to the NFL draft in 2018 rated in the top 100 by Pro Football Focus? Well, it's another fact, ladies and gentlemen. Roll Tide. So just recently, Pro Football Focus released their top 100, naming off 6 Alabama players, as I mentioned. 5 of those 6 Crimson Tide players are from the defensive side of the ball, and 2 of them are listed among the top 25. So coming in at number 11 was Minkah Fitzpatrick, followed by Calvin Ridley at 24, Rashaan Evans at 43, Ronnie Harrison following close at 46, Payne coming in at 50, and at 95 was Levi Wallace. All right, guys, speaking of the 2018 NFL Draft, a lot of Alabama players participated in the 2018 Combine. So let's go ahead and take a look of how they fared against other people and overall what their stats kind of looked like. So we'll start it off with Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was a cornerback, one of the highest rated players coming out of Alabama. He ran a 4.46 in the 40-yard dash. He put up 14 bench press reps, hit a 33-inch vertical jump, and a 121-inch broad jump. He was given a draft grade of 6.5 by NFL, which means he has the potential to be a Pro Bowl caliber player. One AFC executive said this about Minkah. He's not quite the same level of Jamal Adams when it comes to changing the entire culture of a locker room, but he is just as talented and probably more versatile. All right, up next we have wide receiver Calvin Ridley. So he ran a 4.43 in the 40-yard dash, but he put up 15 bench press reps, had a 31-inch vertical jump, and a 110-inch broad jump. He put up a 4.41 the 20-yard shuttle as well. He was given a draft grade of 6.83 by NFL with a draft projection in the round 1. With a comparison to Marvin Harrison. One NFC executive said Ridley reminds him a lot of Amari Cooper coming out of college. All right, up next, we have linebacker Rashaan Evans. So he posted a 30-inch vert, 116 inches in the broad jump, and a 4.36 in the 20-yard shuttle, with a draft projection in the first round and a player comparison to Lawrence Timmons. One AFC scout that said that Evans is an early starter with high-end potential if he can stay healthy in the pros, and that is a big if. Up next, we have safety Ronnie Harrison. He was given a 6.2 overall grade by NFL, posted a 34-inch vertical jump, a 120-inch broad jump, with a draft projection of the late first round, potentially early second round. He's drawing a lot of comparisons to Adrian Wilson, and one NFC scout said Harrison is a feisty guy, big and athletic. He's really not the brains of the defense, and he's not going to be that dude who's going to be a leader and runs the show, but he's one of those guys that is going to do really well in the pros, and he handles his work, great work ethic, and any team would be lucky to have him on their team. Up next, we have defensive tackle Payne. So overall grade of 6.5 by the NFL, and the 350-pound behemoth ran a 4.95 in the 40, 27 reps on the bench press, 28.5-inch vertical with a 107-inch broad jump. He's projected to go somewhere in the late first round, potentially early second round, and one NFC executive said Payne is thick and strong. He's also a really, really good athlete, and he proved that on the Combine. I see his best football right in front of him. All right, and last we have cornerback Levi Wallace. He has an overall grade of 5.5 by the NFL, running a 4.63 in the 40 and had a 33-inch vertical jump. He's projected to go in the 6th or 7th round, and one AFC scout said while Wallace may be undersized, he's mentally tough and he has an undervalued work ethic. All right, guys, that was the Alabama Football Report. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram on Later Bond Sports. And until next time, roll Tide.